What's up, everybody? This is Jay, and I'm coming to you right here on this podcast about 10 of the greatest underseen films about Black America. Now, this was an article that I came across on the Hollywood Reporter, and today is Juneteenth, so what other better day than to bring this information? And for those who aren't familiar, Juneteenth is the day when slavery was officially ended. It was officially ended January 1st by Lincoln, but all of the slaves weren't notified until June 19th. Some of the slaves in Texas and other parts of the South weren't officially notified until then. So the Hollywood Reporter had a little article, and I'm going to put the link in the description box below. An article about 10 the great underseen films about Black America. Now, the majority of movies in Hollywood are not made about Black America, as we know. Now, even they admitted that, and they said that they even admitted, a lot of people don't know, the very first blockbuster movie, the very first movie that everybody wanted and everybody had to get, the very first blockbuster was in 1915's The Birth of a Nation by D.W. Griffith. And for those who don't know, that was a racist Ku Klux Klan movie. Even the president endorsed it at the time. And if you look at the movie Black Klansman, then you'll see Black Klansman just came out, I think 2018, by Spike Lee, and they talk about that movie and that in there. And if you are able to see Black Klansman by Spike Lee, that is a very good movie as well, and you would get a little other insight on that. And also, they just remade a movie called Birth of a Nation, but instead of it being the Klan movie, it's about the rise from slavery, and it's a pretty good movie, and so you should check that out as well. It's a true story. So with that Birth of a Nation, Nat Turner was what this new Birth of a Nation was about. And it's coincidental because the Birth of a Nation about Nat Turner came out 100 years almost to the day. It came out at 101 years. The original Birth of a Nation came out in 1915, and it was about racism in the Klan. And then the new Birth of a Nation came out in 2016, and it was about Nat Turner and the slave uprising. And the actual actor, Nate Parker, he was the director, and he's the one that got all the financing together and everything to get this movie produced. Because Hollywood didn't want to produce that movie even in 2016. They didn't want to produce that movie. And he worked hard and worked years to get the money together to get that movie produced in 2016. And a lot of people didn't see it. It didn't do well financially. It had a budget of around $8.5 million, and it made around $16.5 million, which that movie should have did well like Black Panther did. How everybody was running out and see Black Panther and wear kente cloth and all that. That was a Disney movie. That was not a black movie. But nevertheless, this was a black-owned movie, black-financed movie, and it was about a black story, and it was a good story, but nevertheless, it is what it is. So, according to the Hollywood Reporter's article, that some of the best films that you should check out, and this article is actually pretty good because not only do they talk about the films, they do get into some of the systemic racism and things that goes on in Hollywood behind the scenes and different things. And it's a pretty interesting article, and as always, I'm gonna put the link to this article in the description box. The first movie that they have is called The Apollo, 2019. Now, I haven't seen this movie myself. It said that it's a well-made documentary from Academy Award winner Roger Ross Williams, and it chronicles the history of iconic Black American music venue, the Apollo Theater in Harlem. It features the usual roundup of talking heads, but is not overly academic. With the impressive amount of archival footage Williams managed to present, this is practically a concert film showcasing many of the most notable Black entertainers of the last century. The result is an enjoyable and unapologetic celebration of a legacy that includes giving artists like Aretha Franklin and Stevie Wonder some of their first major opportunities to perform. This came out in 2019, straight to HBO. I haven't seen it, but I do want to see it. Here's another film I haven't seen as well, called Brother to Brother, in 2004. It went straight to Amazon Prime, and it says director Rodney Evans' Sundance Special Jury Prize winning debut moves back and forth in time between New York City in the early aughts and the heyday of the Harlem Renaissance. In one of his earliest film appearances, Anthony Mackie plays a young gay artist who is kicked out of the house by his family and ends up exploring his identity under the guidance of an elder, Roger Robinson, as the latter relives his time with Langston Hughes and Zora Neale Hurston. It's an inventive and reflective watch. It's interesting that Anthony Mackie had to play a young gay artist as one of his first roles. And for those who are familiar with another problem with Hollywood is that a black actor always got to get shot in the booty or put on a dress or be gay or something with one of their roles in order to make it big. Anthony Mackie has certainly blown up since his first role, so I don't know if that has anything to do with the other, but that's just interesting. I Am Not Your Negro. That's another film straight to Amazon Prime, 2016. Amazon Prime is putting a lot of these movies on there. I have to give them credit for that. I haven't seen these. I don't really watch a lot of Amazon Prime movies, but I'm going to have to start checking it out if this is the type of content that they're putting on there. I did like their TV show, The Boys, and I did do a review for The Boys, and you can check it out in my playlist. This movie, I Am Not Your Negro, 2016, Amazon Prime. Even if you heard of or already seen this Oscar-nominated documentary from Raoul Peck, it's the kind of film that warrants multiple viewings. Try watching it once with the sound off to allow the imagery to sink in deeper. I guess that's maybe for white folks because they don't sometimes get it because they didn't actually feel this type of stuff. So they have to kind of sometimes see and feel it in a different way. But it says through a combination of affecting film clips and archival and present-day stills, it is at once a portrait of the great black novelist and essayist James Baldwin, a chronicle of the Black American struggle for liberation, and a stunning visual essay on misrepresentations of blackness in cinematic history. It's a film much like Baldwin himself, timeless, hyper-relevant, meticulous in form and function, and truly one of a kind. I'm going to check these things out. I'm going to have to go and check these out on Amazon Prime. Here's another one, The Interrupters, 2011. Another film that I'm not familiar with, PBS/Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime is putting a lot of black shows, and you know what? I'm not really surprised because if you look at the strategy, Fox, they built themselves up and that network up on the backs of black shows. I mean, building things up on the backs of the black talent and things, and that's not unusual. WB, NBC with the Cosby Show, all kind of different things. You can go down the list for years. Anyway, Amazon Prime is putting a lot of these shows on. That's going to bring a lot of black views to the table, because I was considering going to look, and I still am. But anyway, The Interrupters, 2011. It said, though it was made a decade ago, Steve James' documentary seems like just the story we need to be paying attention to right now in light of current discussions about defunding the police. The Interrupters is about a group of community mediators who intervene to prevent conflict in Chicago's hardest hit neighborhoods, putting their bodies on the line and building relationships with the young men on the block who have fallen prey to the circle of violence. The film has the effect of an action movie full of suspenseful twists and turns, yet also forces viewers to interrogate their assumptions about what it really requires to end crime. If it makes you uncomfortable, take a breath. You're right where the film wants you to be. That's interesting. And really, what really would it take to end crime is education. The education systems are the way they are, where you have one system in the suburbs or whatever, where people don't have the same challenges and they have more opportunities and are exposed to better things than inner city, then these are the type of things that happen. The next movie they have is called Let It Fall, Los Angeles, 1982 through 1992. And that was made in 2017, and this is on Netflix. Another movie I'm not familiar with. John Ridley's work is one of a number of docs about the LA riots of 92, but this one has more staying power than most because of the way it reveals the backstories of its wide range of subjects, refusing to either sanctify or denigrate the protesters, looters, police, and bystanders. Ridley wants you to be less concerned with whose side he's on and more focused on questioning, what do you think you already know about this racial flashpoint in American history? It makes for a suspenseful, eye-opening watch. That's another thing I haven't seen, but I'm interested in. The majority of these movies that they're reviewing are not the usual movies that people would pick. They're trying to pick movies, newer movies, and movies that you haven't seen, but are still as impactful. The next one was Medicine for Melancholy, which is on Amazon Prime, and it was in 2008. It seems that a lot of these type of movies are getting to land on Netflix and Amazon Prime because, for one, they're starved for content, and this type of movies are not expensive to produce, and they can make a lot of this type of stuff. It's entertaining, and it's interesting, and it's content to put on their channels. And this movie, Medicine for Melancholy, 2008, Amazon Prime. Barry Jenkins made his feature debut with this movie about Micah, who was Wyatt Cenac, actually, and Wyatt Cenac just had his own TV show on HBO that was actually very insightful and pretty good, where he would go around and debunk and look at different systems of, society. So anyway, Wyatt Cenac and Joe, who is Tracy Higgins. I'm not familiar with Tracy Higgins. They have what is initially assumed to be a one-night stand, but end up spending the day together traveling around their rapidly changing hometown of San Francisco. It's filmed in black and white on location. Medicine for Melancholy boasts a visual language that is quiet yet piercing, speaking volumes about gentrification and black love without explicitly naming either. From the shot of the couple's dancing feet in the club to the way their bodies are framed in the doorway of Micah's tiny studio, the film showcases the origins of the exquisite collaboration between Jenkins and cinematographer James Laxton. That sounds pretty interesting. Here's an older movie, Nothing But a Man, 1964. I'm not familiar with this as well. This is on YouTube, it says. It's shot in black and white and set in a small town just outside Birmingham, Alabama. In the early 1960s, director Michael Romer's film ponders what living with basic human dignity is worth to a black railroad worker, who was Ivan Dixon, who settles down with the local reverend's daughter, who was Abby Lincoln, but refuses to play by the rules of deference to white people. It's a visually spare yet moving meditation on the pitfalls of black respectability and the horrors of white lawlessness. But what makes the film truly special is that while it's certainly meant to raise questions about American racism, it's actually not about that. Rather, the story decidedly rests its stakes on love of self, family, and community. So, with that being said, that's another one that I might have to check out. Now, this movie I am familiar with. I have seen. It's a damn good movie, and it's called Talk to Me, 2007. It's on Vudu and Hulu. It's a good movie with Don Cheadle. And it says here in this 2007 biopic, we follow the evolution of a working class black man into the beloved Washington, D.C. radio host and personality known as Peter Green. This is Peter Green on the radio. And that was Don Cheadle. The film coast along on a stream of laughs and ladies' man antics that are entertaining enough. But the real interest here is that we also get to see Green's inner workings with help from his respectable Negro manager, Dewey, who is Chiwetel Ejiofor. I always get his name mixed up, but he's a damn good actor, been in a lot of movies. Green wrestles with both his demons and his responsibilities as a public figure in the black community. The film makes us question what success really means for a black man in America. That's a damn good movie. If you haven't seen Talk to Me, you definitely should check that out. I've seen that. It's got Taraji P. Henson that plays his love interest in the movie. Cedric the Entertainer got an appearance in there. It's really a good movie. He was an ex-con, and then he became a radio host. This is a true story, and it shows a little bit about how Clear Channel Communications was formed. So check it out. Talk to Me. I give it a good endorsement. Now, the next movie they have on here is Toni Morrison, The Pieces I Am, 2019, and it's available on Hulu. I'm not familiar with this movie, but what they say is that the prize of the first feature-length documentary made about the late author Toni Morrison, with her permission, is the dazzling presence of Morrison herself, the director who created the Blacklist and the Trans List. Combines archival photos of black life in America dating back 400 years and contemporary black art to stunning visual effects that perfectly echoes Morrison's recounting of her story. We don't get to hear much about her personal life. The focus is mainly on her work, namely her early struggles to be accepted by the ultra-white literary world. But still, her blend of honey-inflected vocal tones and incisive commentary is sublime. So, that sounds like something interesting. If you haven't read any of Toni Morrison's work, you definitely should. I remember we had to read her work in high school. And so, Toni Morrison is a very powerful and respected literary figure. The next movie, it says, is True Justice, Bryan Stevenson's Fight for Equality. This is another movie that I'm not familiar with. This is on HBO, 2019. Now, it says, if you're curious about Bryan Stevenson, the man behind the nonprofit Equal Justice Initiative, this companion documentary to last year's Michael B. Jordan starter, Just Mercy, is well worth a watch. So this is actually the true story and the man about what Michael B. Jordan did, the movie Just Mercy, where he was trying to get Jamie Foxx out of jail. So I haven't seen that movie yet, but I know about it. And so this is the real part to it. And it says that the film divides its time between the history of the criminal justice system and Stevenson's life story. They say it's intentional about preserving Stevenson's privacy, pardon my French, but includes endearing footage of him at home playing the piano and laughing with his siblings, nieces, and nephews. These small windows into who Stevenson is outside of being a modern crusader for criminal justice reform allows us to connect with him as an everyday human being who doesn't go to sleep at night on a pedestal. That's interesting. Well, I'm going to have to check that out. A lot of these movies I didn't see, and they do seem interesting. And I'm glad to see that this is a list of movies that are new, refreshing, and I hope you guys appreciate that and maybe find something that you want to check out. I'm going to go over the list again. The first movie was The Apollo, 2019 on HBO. The second movie is Brother to Brother, 2004, Amazon Prime. The third movie, I Am Not Your Negro, 2016, Amazon Prime. The fourth movie, The Interrupters, 2011, PBS, Amazon Prime. The fifth movie, Let It Fall, Los Angeles, 1982 to 1992. And the made was 2017 on Netflix. The sixth movie, Medicine for Melancholy, 2008, available on Amazon Prime. The seventh movie, Nothing But a Man, 1964, available on YouTube. The eighth movie, Talk to Me, 2007, available on Vudu and Hulu. And ninth movie, Toni Morrison, The Pieces I Am, 2019. And the 10th and final movie you may want to check out is True Justice, Bryan Stevenson's Fight for Equality. And these are 10 great underseen films about Black America. And that's the key. They're new, they're underseen, and maybe people should take a better look at them, including myself. And with that being said, if you've seen any of these movies, let me know in the comments what you think. And if you're going to check them out, let me know which ones you're going to check out and why. I'm going to check them out, and I'm going to start trying to do reviews for more things on my podcast. So, with that being said, I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank everybody for your support. Thank you for watching on YouTube, listening on the podcast, and I'll see y'all and hear y'all on the next one. Peace.